prosecute the last question, Senator Dulo.
Changes in the counties. And I think maybe you need to look at Article 225 and see how you can operationalize, because there are a lot of challenges on the ground. For example, counties going 3-4 months without even paying salary. I mean, it's unacceptable. Arrangements must be made on how these people salary should be made. Of course, you have said that you have settled much of the pending budget for counties, but it is still happening. There are salaries that have not been paid for 2 months, 3 months. These are people who are paying rent. They have kids going to school. I mean, it doesn't augur well, because sometimes the budget is actually diverted elsewhere. Number two, Chair, the concerns of revenue collected at the county level. You must do something, Chair, I mean CS, because there are counties that have refused to automate revenue. It's being collected cash. It's being shared even on the streets. Something has to be done, because the budget collected on the ground, it's actually complementing what you are doing, and it will ease some of the challenges that the counties and also national government is facing. So you need to sit, of course, some of the people in Treasury say that we don't want to interfere with the counties. But you have to interfere, because that budget belongs to members of public. It's taxpayers' money. Something has to be done. So that is the other challenge. Number three, Chair, I don't know whether the new system has operationalized on how approvals are done at COB, and if Ms. can be able to see what has been approved, because that is where there is a big challenge. Because if Ms. doesn't see what has been approved, so the counties end up actually voiding what has been approved by the controller of budget. So I think, CS, you have a lot in your plate. But since you really understand these issues, having in Parliament and also now at the executive level, there's so much challenge that is happening within the counties. We make a lot of noise as a Senate, but things are not moving. For example, the county I come from, the person who claims to be a speaker, a second speaker, he's the one approving the budget at the same time. It's even indicated in your letter. How can somebody claim a speaker at the same time he's with the executive approving the budget? And a communication comes from a senator. Central Bank says we have no communication to that effect. Up to now, he's the one approving the budget, and he claims to be a speaker. I mean, something has to be done. And that is why I'm saying Article 225 has to be operationalized in ensuring counties are actually disciplined, because a lot of money is being lost in those counties, and members of public are really suffering. No service delivery that is taking place. Thank you.
Actually, CS, today we are talking more about standards, but I think we must set up another appointment to talk about systems. In your budget speech, you referred to quite a number of systems that were supposed to be implemented, e-procurement. I think there were the automation of personnel and payroll. You know, we must go towards e-government. If you are implementing the manifesto of Sifuna's party and my party, we want efficiency in government, and that efficiency can only be achieved through automation. You have the power, again, you as the National Treasury, to prescribe standards and also to prescribe systems. And the question we have been asking governors is, fine, they have accepted IFMIS, prescribed by the National Treasury. They have accepted IPPD, and IPPD, I think, sits in the Public Service Ministry. But when it comes to revenue systems, that is where they draw the line. That is where they say that they are governments, that they have the power to source their own systems. And we know how these systems work. They are backdoors, they are loopholes, they are custodial accounts that sometimes are used to launder and siphon money. So we must have that conversation In the last government, the National Treasury, I think, attempted to come up with a unified revenue collection system for county governments. I don't know whether that's part of your key priorities and whether some progress has been made on it. So it is something that we can have a substantive meeting on, so that we frame our questions, unless you have a quick answer on the integrated revenue collection system across counties. If not, then we can set a separate appointment. As you think through, Senator Cherargei?
Wazir, mine is, I've seen in your response on evaluation and monitoring. Especially on conditional grants. We have seen a number of counties.
Sorry, Senator, we were to go to the second question, question. So we were dealing with the standards and the transition.
Okay, let me, on the issue of standards, as Chair, you have pointed out, there is this aspect, and I know my colleagues said about voiding of payments. When we met the controller of budget, she was saying that, I don't know what the Ministry of Treasury is doing, because CRF accounts are with you, especially on requisitions from county governments. Controller of budget sometimes approves some of these requisitions, but towards the IB, or internet banking and payment of suppliers of goods and services to counties, the COB was complaining that they no longer have a view. There is a veil of mystery where they can't track. So in your opinion, having sat as the Minister of National Treasury and Planning, what should be the way forward? Explore about it, because we know counties along the way they disappear and pay X. So the question is, what should we do to ensure that COB has powers, or what is the Ministry of National Treasury doing to keep in view? And finally, on 225, Waziri, I agree with you largely. Are you punishing the governor who has salary, who has a car, who has money? Or are you punishing somebody who would go to Kapsabet County Referral Hospital to seek treatment? So I think that's a very dicey situation, and I agree with you that that should be the last resort. In any case, the EACC and DCI should be punishing more these individuals who are doing financial misappropriation of county funds. We should not remove that knife at all, in my own opinion, for the sake of the people, because you don't need to, isikuwe ile msemo wa Kiswahili wanasema mtego wa panya huingia waliokuwemo na wasiokuwemo ama walioenda. I don't know whether that Chair, I don't know whether that was, but I hope you understand the concept. Otherwise, you are doing a good job, and thank you for implementing the broad-based manifesto. You are not implementing the ODM manifesto.
The minute Cherargei takes the microphone, then controversy begins.
And Chair, that is why I want to request that I make just one comment and allow me to leave the meeting to Cherargei.
The meeting belongs to Public Accounts Committee.
Yes.
But just so that we don't have these exchanges, we were having a very constructive engagement with Waziri. I just want to say, Waziri, that I like the answers that you've provided. There's a ray of hope that a few things might happen. I am happy you have said that you are ready as a ministry to engage with the Nairobi County government, and I want to give an assurance that I will get the message to the governor that he needs to sit down with you to have that conversation. This is the biggest headache in the city. I don't understand why he would not avail himself for such an important conversation. I have already actually sent him a message to tell him that it is unacceptable that he would miss such important conversations with the National Treasury. CS, I want to request that as a Senate, we need also to be given our space. Invite us to those meetings as well. In fact, if that report is ready as soon as it is, I would want that, I know there would be processes for you to get it to Parliament, but there is no harm because we are the biggest problem as you have identified as Nairobi. I would be more than glad to have that report to see the proposals that you've made and sometimes to just even highlight and give them prominence so that we can solve the problems for the people of Nairobi. But Chair, if that is the direction that the ministry is taking, I think they can, I can see some light at the end of the tunnel for the problems in Nairobi. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. I must also say that I've chaired this committee for a long time, and the CSS for National Treasury have been very uncooperative. Senator Dulo, you and I have been in this committee for the longest period, and it has been very difficult to get the CS National Treasury before this committee because their mind is the National Assembly that approves their budgets. But you see, devolution is not just about counties. It has to be a balance between county governments and national governments. We are still a unitary state. So to that extent, CS, even though we had 2 missed dates, I must put it on record that we are happy that you've appeared before this committee. We will not be calling you for frivolous issues because we know how busy your schedule is. But I think that at least on a quarterly basis, we need to engage. You have a representative who sits in this committee, Dr. Ndongo, and I believe he will be able to relay some of the resolutions from this committee. But at least once every quarter, we need to touch base so that we are sure that we are on the right path. On the list of shame, we will help you, PBO. We can do our own analysis and present the counties that we consider to be persistently and materially breaching the Constitution and the PFM. And then we can have a conversation, CS, so that you are also not accused of overreach. Let it be some conversation that has been prompted by the reports of the Auditor General, control of budget and resolutions of Parliament.
Chair, I don't know why you are suggesting another report. We did a very good report on the fiduciary risk exposure. I think we can just start there.
Yeah, we can just extract,
yeah,
it because it already had the list of shame. Now, CS, you could respond to Senator Cherargei, and then we get to the final question, which will not take us more than 15 minutes.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, again, I want to point out that my office and my ministry, we are willing and ready to engage. Actually, it is a constitutional responsibility to appear before the Houses of Parliament and offer accountability for the use of public resources, because these are not our resources, these are resources that belong to the people of Kenya. And as people's representatives, you have a duty under Article 94, 5 and 6 of our Constitution to hold us to account. And I want to report, Chair, that I've actually appeared before committees of the Senate more than of the National Assembly. And I've also appeared more in the plenary of the Senate. Actually, apart from the budget speech that I read on 12th of June, I've only appeared once in the plenary of the National Assembly, but I've appeared about 4 or 5 times, I think 5 times if I'm not wrong, before the Senate. That tells you that, to me, I am blind to whatever difference would be between the 2 houses, because the 2 houses have a constitutional mandate to hold us accountable. On Article 225, I think we have agreed that this is something that I'm going to exercise my mind to, and if there is any report that you have which will be of help, as Senator Sifuna has rightly put it, then we could start from there and act, so that as we shy away from, appear or to be shying away from taking decisions that we think would hurt the public, but we probably could be hurting the public more when their resources are misappropriated or misapplied. On the issues that have been raised now, let me go straight to the systems and to enhance efficiency in government. I want to point out that on this matter of own source revenue, it's a serious matter of concern to me and to the ministry. And there are 2 areas to it. One is that we have fragmented systems of accounting for revenue that is raised in the counties as own source revenue. And we want to have an integrated system. Already, there is a circular number 3 of 2024, which was issued by the National Treasury, or that my ministry issued. And we are rolling out the integrated county revenue management system. It is going to replace these fragmented county revenue management systems. Already we have discussed this at IBEC. I know there's been pushback, of course, as expected from the governors and the counties and the Council of Government. I think we are trying now to be clearer. We are getting where we are clear. I think it was just misunderstanding this. Because we can't have 47, 48 systems in a country dealing with the revenue collection. We should have at most 2 or 3. So we will have an integrated county revenue management system. It's already in progress. We are also alive to the second problem, which is overestimation of own source revenue, which is causing the pending bills in the counties. Because own source revenue has been used as a balancing figure in our books. And by the way, even national government, actually they borrowed this bad practice from the national government, where we were over-projecting our revenue. Our revenue ceased to be a realistic revenue projection based on economic fundamentals, but rather we look at what we want to do in the year, and then we ask how much would we be raising from external financiers and how much can we realistically raise from domestic borrowing, and then the remaining amount we say we will collect this much. And then you find KRA not collecting. This financial year, Chair, it would interest you to note that we were very realistic on our revenue projection for ordinary revenue. To the extent, for the first time, we were below the projection by the Parliamentary Budget Office, PBO. National Treasury had a lower figure, and we stuck to that lower figure because we don't want to overestimate revenue. The same must happen with counties. And so we are coming up with, we are developing 2 revenue models. That is, the first one is what we call own source revenue based elasticity model, and the centered moving average model. This will help in protecting us from projecting unrealistic revenue. So we are giving these models to the counties. And whatever we are doing, Chair, and I want to agree with you, much as we say that counties are independent, etc., but the Constitution gives the National Treasury the responsibility of designing financial management systems. So it doesn't just say that we design those systems for national government. It includes even the county government. But the only thing that we have been trying also to do is not to just come up with systems and tell counties, use them. We want to be as inclusive, as participatory as possible. We want to get the involvement of the county so that they can buy in, because a system can also be frustrated if you give it to users who don't want to use it. So that is what we are trying to work around. Otherwise, this will cure the issue of the view of the COB failing to have a view. We are coming up with, actually we are putting a system which will be rolled out from this month. It will be used from end of this month. A system that, a twin system of approval and payment, so that whatever is approved is what is paid. To avoid this voiding that Senator Dula was referring to, that you have requisitioned money to pay this and you pay X. And by the way, as I conclude, Chair, what Senator Dula said about counties going for 3 months without salaries, in the current setup, I think it is criminal and inhuman. Because why would you not pay your staff salaries and you are budgeted for that salary? It is consuming it for some counties even over 50%. And we have given you the allocation for the month. Even if we are late, we are only late for the month of July now, which we'll pay next week. So what justification would a county have not to pay their staff for 2 months? Yeah, it does not make sense at all. So those are counties that must be called out and punished accordingly. Thank you, Chair.
Let me then guide you to the next question, but
You forgot on COP issue.
I think you mentioned that they're rolling out a system.
Yeah. I said that we have a system that is going to connect
Is
the
it,
approval
are you
with
proposing a
the payment.
policy shift or a legislative intervention, do you think?
Well, these are just systems. You
The
just
systems.
come up with a system.
It's just the technical.
Well, there is no. Actually, these people who have been paying things that have not been approved are the ones who have run away from policy.
I mean, they're just
There is no
criminals.
new policy. They are just
I mean, it's an offense under the Act.
blatant violation of our
Does
procedures.
it mean now that EACC, that they had access to e-procurement and payment, they can assist because it's criminal?
You know, unfortunately, Senator Cherga, I am not a lawyer, but I would think so. If we have given the system,
If they are given access.
and this is what they should do, and if EACC wants to get the access to the system, I don't think they should be
Yeah,
denied.
I think their mandate
Because
also allows them to be proactive
They
rather
can be
than
proactive
to be
and deal with
morticians
these
like
matters.
this committee.
Actually, EACC doesn't have to wait for Auditor General
Yes.
to audit.
Correct.
They can go into the system, see this kind of mismanagement and misapplication of funds, and deal with it at source. They can summon, and they have summoned, by the way, people, cases we don't even know exist.
Yeah.
And they call people and ask you why you have done 1, 2, 3. So EACC has that power.
So you think finally, Chair, you think that that system will prevent, because Chair, it is also, we don't want anybody to be morticians. We want to be preventative. So these systems you are proposing, will it in any case be preventative, as in it will prevent? Because we don't want also those voiding of payments to be done, then we come and arrest people later. We want this thing not to happen. That's our prayer, because, Chair, it is so sad. For example, Nandi, in the last financial year, they did voiding of payments of around 586 million Kenya shillings. And most of those companies and payments was not reflective of the requisitions to COB. So we want something that can prevent, it can detect. It's like walking into this building with a gun. When you just walk, the security will not allow you to pass. So we are looking for something like that you cannot, Chair, you cannot access.
So, Chair, actually that's the main reason why we are coming up with this twin system, where approval is linked to payment, so that whatever is approved is paid. Otherwise, there would be no need for this system.
I mean, it has been unacceptable that for 10 years, that gap has been there.
Yeah.
And those of us even who came from the corporate world, and I've given the example even in the insurance world, if approval has been made to pay a claim, once that approval has been made, you cannot pay another claimant. But that is what is happening in government. I mean, it's just completely unacceptable. It's against acceptable practices, and I think now it falls on you to close the gap, and I'm happy that you're already
Chair,
taking
one last
action.
one, CS, on expenditure by the counties. Some of the counties, they don't even submit their expenditure report. And that is also very critical. I don't know whether the system can be connected to that. Failure to submit your expenditure report. The budget process, when you do the requisition, should be actually dealt with. I don't know whether that's possible. Because at the end of the day, Kenyans should know how their money is spent.
Yes?
Yeah?
I'll look into that matter of counties failing to give expenditure report, but that again is another criminal, because the law is clear on how you are supposed to report, and the timelines and the dates are set. If they are not complying, in fact, in my view, those are now the candidates for withholding of funds under Article 225, so that we don't give you money if you can't give your as a report. But I'll check if this system is also linked to that kind of report.
CS, I think with this kind of engagement and positive engagement between the National Treasury and the Senate, let us not make counties places where people want to become governors so that they can be rich. Let counties be places where people go to because they want to serve. But at the moment, there are too many loopholes, and people go to counties to enrich themselves rather than to serve the people. And we'll be happy to walk this journey with you and to be able to achieve some of these things in your tenure as CS. Now, the last question was on conditional grants. I can see it's a 2-page report, which I think we can go through in the next 5 minutes. And if there are additional questions, we can do either a follow-up technical meeting or we can have another appointment. CS, proceed. The Parliamentary Budget Office has done an analysis that indicates that since 2013, 299 billion has been disbursed to counties as conditional and unconditional grants. This committee is concerned that we don't seem to have a very clear view on how the 299 billion or 300 billion has been used over the last 10 years. Proceeds, yes.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, again, this was in response to the questions that were raised by the committee. First, I'm required to provide the current policy and funding framework guiding collaboration between the Government of Kenya and the development partners in financing county programs and projects. And number two, I will explain the criteria used in determining the type, amount, and distribution of conditional grants to county government. And there are other issues, two more issues that I'll deal with. So quickly, so that I don't spend much more time, this is my response regarding current policy and funding framework guarding the collaboration between GOK and development partners. Collaboration between the Government of Kenya and development partners is guided by the Public Debt and Borrowing Policy of 2020, which provides a strategic framework for mobilizing and managing external resources in line with national priorities. Under this framework, the National Treasury facilitates the negotiation and signing of financing agreements with development partners for sector-specific programs and projects. These initiatives proposed by relevant ministries, departments, and agencies, MDS, may target county-level implementation based on identified needs and sectoral focus. So while the National Treasury manages the financing process, implementation is delegated to the responsible MDS in accordance with the financing agreements, and this structure ensures that development partner resources are aligned to government systems while allowing for decentralized execution at the county level. However, Chairman, I want to point out something before I move to the next. If you just rely on this written response that I've given this committee, you may think it is a bed of roses in terms of the relationship with funding from development partners. The reality is not. The reality is the opposite. The reality is that we have a lot of challenges in terms of development partner funding, both at the national level and the county level. Why? One, we have committed so much to development partner projects which don't even take off for a myriad of reasons. And one of the reasons is the way we have been coming up as a country with what programs to be funded has been largely supply driven, where development partner from nowhere just appears and tells you, I have money here, I want to put it in this sector, and we pick it up. Some we even put, and there are condition precedents of counterpart funding. You lock it there, and it has even locked our budget to the extent our fiscal space is this narrow. Yet we have so many projects that are not progressing, and they have clogged the system. Whether it is World Bank projects, and we are working with World Bank to review their programs to that effect in terms of absorption. A lot of challenges. We don't even provide the counterpart funding, yet that is a requirement. You find there are accountability challenges, you have procurement challenges. So the reason why I did not put that here is because the government has taken note. And the Deputy President's office and my office are working. We have formed a team that is working in reviewing all the engagements and development partner funding in this country. We are reviewing the whole portfolio. We are looking at the challenges. We are looking at even how then do we get to projects to be funded by development partners. They must come from something. They must come from a government priority program based on Vision 2030 or better concept, or that concept or that manifesto of the government that will be in power at any given time. And that must cascade now to the the county integrated CIDPs, so that we tie development funding, development projects to government planning agenda, because we have not been doing that, and see how to deal with the challenges that these development partner projects are facing. If a project requires counterpart funding and we don't have it, there is no reason why we get into it. We must just say we are not ready for this program. And if the requirement by the development partner in terms of procurement is against or going contrary to our Public Procurement and Asset Disposal Act, then we need also to state that from the onset. We end up, Chair, even paying commitment fees and charges. We are charged for idle money that we have not even spent. And we have been doing that for years. So, in a nutshell, this is a work in progress, Chair. I want to just report that we are doing a complete overview and overhaul of development partner funding. I thought I should explain that. On the second question of the criteria used, which will be partly explained by what I've just said, but I want to say this in response, that the criteria used to determine the type, amount, and distribution of conditional grants to counties is dependent on specific projects and programs. They are therefore agreed upon between the county governments where the projects fall and the implementing MDS. Such information is summarized in the framework for management of each conditional grant that the MDS develop and submit to the National Treasury for inclusion in the county government's additional allocations bill in each financial year.
Yes.
Yes.
I know you had requested that at 12:30 you had another engagement. It is 12:33.
I could leave in the next 12 minutes.
Since you have your submissions in writing,
yes,
we could take note and maybe just ask, is there any part of this submission that you want to highlight or to emphasize so that I can save you from having to read everything verbatim?
Yeah, no, I actually, I wanted just to point out some of the things that are coming up, like in question 4, I've actually explained in my off-the-cuff remarks.
Yes, yes. Yes.
Where I've explained on what basis are we coming up with these projects to be developed, to be funded through development partners, through conditional grants and other grants.
Maybe one thing that,
yes,
and what prompted this in interaction is this question: who is
invites county executives? And we were asking ourselves, really, as Public Accounts Committee of National Assembly, should we be dealing with the county government staff? Or this matter, we can refer it to the Senate. We were belaboring. We were trying to argue with ourselves. But again, according to the way it is structured, the money comes through the line ministry, and so the State Department that disburses the money to the counties, the accounting officer becomes again responsible in terms of PFM Act. So it is a challenge, but it depends on the design of each program. Depending on how the development partners have agreed with us. I think what going forward we may need to do is to put up a system where it is very clear who the accounting officer is for each disbursement. But as at now, I'll agree with you that it is a gray area that my ministry must deal with. I don't know whether that answers your question, Chair, but it is an area that I think we have to engage our minds to better. Can
we have a framework where it's almost like an intergovernmental agreement? Because we've had this problem with RMLF. Because RMLF, when it was being sent to counties, and I think it's the largest disbursement that has gone to counties as conditional grants, PBO indicates that cumulatively 42 billion was sent to counties as RMLF when it was still active. The figure could have been higher because there was a year where it was made part of equitable share. But then the accountability arrangements for RMLF was reporting through the Kenya Roads Board. And then the Kenya Roads Board would appear before the National Assembly. And yet there's a county roads work plan that is defined, that is approved and implemented in the counties. And when you are a member of National Assembly, that was a lot of duplication of projects. RMLF, maintenance from RMLF and maintenance from the kitty of the member of National Assembly. And so a lot of money would get lost. How can we design a framework where once that money goes to county, then we let the counties be the accounting officers through some intergovernmental arrangement? Yes.
Yeah, I think that is something that we can look into, and especially now that we are likely to come up with a new legislative. So, Chair, I think that is something that we need to look into, especially now that, especially on RMLF, that we have to come up with a new legislative framework to guide it, because there is now none. I know the matter is in court, but if that matter was not appealed, I think we would not have any legal framework really to spend the money. So we need to capture, if we are going to involve, because the courts at that level, at the High Court level, had said we must include the counties. So in the process of doing that, then we must again come up with how then do we account for the money that is given to the counties. But I wish to report also that already we are coming up with a policy. The National Treasury is coming with a national policy on intergovernmental fiscal transfers. So all the monies that will be transferred to the counties or other whatever agencies, there is going to be a clear policy on how that should be accounted for. And that would clearly help us in dealing with this challenge that presently we are facing.
Thank you. Perhaps one of the reasons why my members are in and out is that we have a speakers Kamkunji that was starting at 12 o'clock. So that also puts pressure on us to go and join that Kamkunji. But I think that you have done justice to the questions that we had sent to you. What I want to propose as the next steps is that the technical teams, and I'd like the project manager for this National Steering Committee to be in close contact with the PBO and with Parliament. We will do an assessment of the responses that have been submitted and see where the gaps are, and if there are certain gaps in terms of information, we can try to get the information back from the technical teams. And if that fails, then we will have to call the CS. But it was important for us to get the policy perspective from the CS. On systems, I think systems, we must also apply our minds to it. And I think we might need to have a separate session where we are looking at the entire systems landscape, because we would like to support you to have an efficient, automated government, e-government. And we must find a way of compelling county governments to automate their operations. I said earlier that you sit now at the national government, and you could go to a county that ideally ought to support the government because they voted for that government. But if the county government is underperforming, then the disaffection is not just, people sometimes cannot differentiate those two levels of government. Maybe the clever ones can differentiate, but if they go to hospitals and they don't find drugs, they'll say SHA is not working. They will not say the county government has failed. You talked about on-source revenue, and I am seeing a problem. Many counties had overestimated their OSR on the basis of fees from health facilities. Now, I've heard your colleague Duale talk about the need not to charge fees in level 1, level 2, level 3 hospitals. I mean, even Homa Bay County grew its on-source revenue as a result of greater efficiency in collection of hospital fees. But with this new SHA arrangement, with these new health laws, should we expect them to continue collecting the hundreds of millions from health facilities? And yet they have built a budget on the basis of those collections. They have gone ahead and signed something with CPF, which I think is something we still need to discuss and find out whether the necessary guarantees were obtained and whether it is an arrangement that required guarantees. I think that's I'll have a one-on-one with you on that, since we come from the same county, to ensure that everything is done accordingly. but it was based on expectations that they were going to collect revenue. So if the health facility revenue is not coming, where will they plug the 500 or 400 million gap to ensure that that loan is repaid? So we will have some follow-up conversations, some before the committee, some perhaps I might just walk over to the Treasury. I want to propose also the steering committee. Let us do a national workshop for oversight bodies, particularly focusing on county governments, where the Public Accounts Committee, Public Investments Committee of the Senate, alongside the Public Accounts Committees of county assemblies, because that's where primary oversight should be. CS, we tried as a committee to consider the audit reports of county governments by 30th of March for the first time. It was not easy, but no single county assembly was able to consider the financial statements and the reports of the Auditor General within those timelines. And so you have a responsibility for capacity building. I think that's also a responsibility of the National Treasury. And your representative has always told us that, you are doing things, you are making proposals, you are sending policies to counties. So I believe this should not be a problematic thing in terms of budgeting. Is that something that can be organized? A national workshop on the standards, on the transition for oversight committees? It's something that can be done.
Chair, I think my answer is yes. We'll just look at the logistics around it,
yeah,
and see. In terms of cost, we'll check, but I think it is the benefits may be outweighing the cost.
Correct.
Because we need proper understanding of this system. And I want to just maybe conclude, I know you will be the one concluding, that the chair, as I said on 12th of June, going forward is going to be a lot more of reforms. A lot more reforms, because that is where Kenyans are complaining. They are complaining of misuse of their money. The taxes that are collected can serve us, but the misuse is too much. That's why you see we have, almost in every area, we are bringing reforms just to close some of the taps that have been exploited over the years. Thank you.
Yeah, so Clerk, please liaise with the Dr. Ndungu and the Treasury so that we set up that conference. CS, IBEC was supposed to be the forum for CC's finance from counties. And then governors hijacked it. And then it became a political forum. So we don't seem to have a sectoral working group for CC finance. It was supposed to be IBEC. So in this national workshop, we can bring in even the CC finance so that we can get their perspective. On Article 225, we've agreed that you're going to apply your mind to it, but we'll also extract our list of shame, looking at several parameters, I think the fiscal responsibility principles are already defined in the PFM Act, and we can also add additional considerations coming from the report of the Auditor General, and we can have a conversation and initiate some debate so that even if you are to invoke Article 225, these counties would know that they have been given an opportunity to reform and they have failed to do so. Particularly, and one, you talked about counties not paying salaries. But the saddest thing is counties paying salaries but not remitting statutory deductions. And it runs for a year. And yet that money has been requisitioned. And you wonder where that money is redirected. Surely, CS, for counties like those, why should you continue sending the money when you send the money, they're not remitting statutory deductions, employees are not getting medical attention from SHA, employees are not getting credit facilities from SACCOs? I mean, these ones, you cannot be accused of overreach.
And Chair, just maybe to address that before, am I taking your mouth? Let me take the mic from your mouth. That is why we are coming up with this integrated system, and it is going to cure that. And Chair, if you want to know something, it says, MDS are ready, and we are rolling it this month. In fact, it was supposed to be in July. There was a bit of technicality. We allowed August. August, we are going to have all salaries paid through this integrated system. For MDAs, they are ready. For county assemblies, they are ready. County executives, they are not. So I was given some excuse that they can be ready in a year. I have said no. They must be ready. All these challenges you are talking about, that the vote is one, and the department has spread, the same way national government has various departments, so are the counties. So we must implement it. And you know the biggest culprits are county executives, where we have parallel payroll systems, some manual, some this, and we hear of ghost workers. Even county governments have come out to say they have been having ghost workers in their system. So, Chair, I want to agree with you. We are taking action on that. We are integrating the system. We will be deducting all this at source. Because, you see, if you give me my salary, you are supposed to pay my salary in full. And what these paying agents have been doing is we are paying me part of my salary and retaining part of it, which I've given authority to go somewhere, either through statutory deduction, through law, like pay as you earn, NSSF contribution. Others, members have given approval to go to their pension, and you don't remit it. When I retire, I'm expecting so much. I am told your money has not been remitted over the years. It is frustrating, and that we are curing.
And again, it is criminal. And Patrick, the OIG did a special audit on county government payroll?
Yes, Chairman. And the reports were debuted in Senate last week.
Last week?
Yes.
Did they cover all the 47 counties?
All the 47 counties.
So we'll do a matrix so that we prioritize perhaps the top offenders, and we'll have interrogations. And perhaps once we are done with interrogations, when it comes to policy recommendations, we will call in the CS at the end of that interrogation, because a lot of bad things are happening when it comes to human resource in county governments. I think with that, we could conclude. Senator
Dulo. Waziri, first, thank you so much. And I'm sure it's good to have you in that position, since you understand Parliament and also what's happening on the ground better. But I think my advice to you, if not for anything, put proper disciplinary systems in place within the counties. And I'm sure even members of public will appreciate that. Because if they actually pay tax and they get proper service delivery, that is something that they will be able to appreciate. So before the expiry of your term, which we don't know when, put proper disciplinary systems in place that hold counties accountable. And the second bit, accountability, independence of the assembly. It's really very critical, because executives are actually frustrating the assembly. And that is why they are unable even to carry out their primary oversight role. Something needs to be done. If you need assistance of the Senate, we will be there to support for you as far as legislations are concerned. But independence of the assembly is very critical. I thank you.
Thank you, Senator Dulo. Anything in closing before we adjourn? Yes.
Well, just to thank you, Chair, for according us this opportunity to explain some of these reforms that we are putting in place to make sure that the taxpayers' money is used prudently, economically, and realizes the objective for which we are taxing Kenyans. And I'll agree with you, we will take action and we will show by example, demonstrate that it is not business as usual. And yes, in terms of a disciplinary action, I think it is important. So I agree. And Chair, we've had very good engagement. I thank you for steering also this committee the way you've done it.
Thank you, CS. We will continue the conversations formally and informally. I think I prefer a committee engagement rather than the plenary engagement, because plenary, you don't have an opportunity to get to the bottom of issues. But we shall also not call you unnecessarily. I think empower your technical team that whenever they get a call from our clerks, they should respond. They don't have to wait for the CS to be the one to appear before this committee. We understand your many other engagements, and I believe we can achieve a lot through the technical teams and through your liaison officer who is sitting in this committee. Thank you, everybody, and that brings us to a close of this meeting. This meeting is adjourned. We shall, next week we have devolution conference, and so we'll not have committee meetings, but I've noted that we've got something we are supposed to do at the pavilion in Homa Bay. So our next meeting will be the Monday. Is it the Monday? The Monday? Monday, the 18th. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you, CS, and your delegation.